Hi, how are you today? I am pretty sure I fucked up the beginning of this, but you know, life is hard. So today I want to basically kind of share everything that has helped me when it comes to making money in business and with connecting marketing to sales. And we're going to go over what I call my Hotel California strategy. And I call it Hotel California because you can check out, but you can never leave unless you unsubscribe or die. And you know, I do respect consent though. Like, I would never put somebody into this flow that didn't sign up to be there. And if they ever ask to get out, then they are out. You know what I mean? Um, but they might get retargeted or see ads later. That's a different story. But I won't directly keep contacting them if they ask to be not to be contacted, and they can control on their side how they see ads as well. But anyway, the reason that I wanted to do this also is when I was first getting started in marketing, particularly when it comes to like closer to 10 years ago, between 5 and 10 years ago, you know, I would be asking for help because back then at that stage in my career, I understood managing teams. I understood building out the websites and the landing pages, and I understood how to run ads, but I did not understand how to connect all of that together to get sales and continue growing. And I was asking someone who promoted themselves online to be a marketing coach and had a huge following. I mean, I'm pretty sure they still do, but I blocked them. But yeah, and all of that, fucking, and I don't think I'll do a video. I might end up doing a video on this person, but I haven't decided. But I don't think I will for now because I just don't want to touch it mentally, you know. But fucking, I had asked them for help, and they wouldn't really give me specific advice. She was just saying basically like build out your funnel, but she didn't tell me what the fuck that meant. And when you Google online how to build out your sales and marketing funnel, you're going to be getting a lot of broad theory related to marketing and sales funnel, which I already knew that theory. I just didn't know how to take all the theory that we've been discussing in my previous videos. I linked them, and they're currently in the description of this video, but they might have to get moved to the comments because the description's too big and I need to add timestamps. But fucking, I didn't understand how to apply that theory to real life to get the sales. You know what I'm saying? Because there is a disconnect, and we'll discuss that disconnect as we go. I think I'll show you. But yeah, so basically I'm gonna roll my intro, and then we're just gonna get into it. I put together a little presentation to show you my Hotel California marketing funnel strategy situation. And if you have not looked at my previous videos on marketing, and sales and all of that I mentioned, I really do recommend looking at the ones that are going to be linked in this video or in the description of the comments, because that will basically probably answer any questions you have about what we discussed. For the most part, it might already be answered in there. If you are unaware of anything when it comes to some of the terminology I'm using or anything like that. But yeah, fucking, and it's kind of like things that I'm not explaining or because I already explained it. But yeah. So yeah, let's just do this bitch. I apologize, I'm fucking weird. Hi, my name is Alexis, also known as Lexi or Deaf Child. I was born deaf, hard of hearing. I began doing business as Deaf Child 2013, marketing 2011, sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales. My Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Deafness runs in my family genetically. Speech is not fully accessible to me. Anyway, I'm here to bitch about whatever the fuck is on my mind. So here we go. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. I wanted this to be a fast live stream, but you know how I am, like I talk way too much, so we're probably just gonna be like
one eternity later.
So I don't know. what first I'm gonna just start off with a little presentation I put together here on my Hotel California marketing funnel. Um, yeah, living it up in the Hotel California. Um, so yeah, fucking. Now, first of all, I really should have checked the quality of this file, but I did not. Anyway, I have a design here. I don't know who the fuck made these first little graphics that I'm going to be showing y'all because I honestly downloaded these files years ago. I don't remember where the fuck I got it from. I didn't make it. So if you made this, thank you for letting me use this. Anyway, so for buyer's journey and related to growth, we have a little cycle or a circle here related to attract, engage, delight. And that is kind of going along with the buyer's journey in terms of inbound marketing as it relates to awareness, consideration, and decision. But it's about bringing people in a way where it is something that they are interested in. And when you are sending the right message to the right person and having value alignment. So BANT, budget, authority, need, and time, is a way that particularly in business to business, but honestly with any type of sales, that you can kind of gauge and measure the metric of somebody's need of you, or at what timeline, or being able to understand where are they in the sales funnel as a buyer. What's their budget? Do they have the authority to make this purchase decision? What is their need for you, and the timeline. So in terms of when we talk about the funnel, and again, my previous video goes into this way more, so I'm not going to go too much into this, but I want y'all to think about the marketing and sales funnel as top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. At the top of funnel, we're getting attention. In the middle of funnel, we are taking that interest and we are turning it into desire. And in the bottom funnel is when desire gets put into action. And in this way, what we are doing is bringing people through attention, interest, desire, and action through awareness, consideration, and decision. And we are giving people different information at different stages of their journey with you, in order to give them information that is relevant to them. And I think that's where the disconnect is for a lot of people. They don't connect the specific message that is relevant to each person to what each person is going through in life. And that's where I was going wrong for so long. Like, I was trying to send broad messages to everybody, wondering why I wasn't getting a sale. And it wasn't until I learned how to retarget people and how to scale and automate and do it in a way where you're able to get the numbers to basically close people and bring them in, and to not only do that, but do it in a way where each person is getting very specific information and messages that is relevant to what they are doing, because it's all based on triggers, based on the actions that they have taken with you. So nothing that they have received isn't irrelevant to them. And I think, so that's what we're going to go over, like how you do that. And so the way that you do that is by connecting user behavior to automated triggers, automation triggers, or manual actions tagged. And we'll go over the different platforms you can use for this later. But first, we're going to focus on the buyer journey flow and the user flow experience. And so it is done by connecting what is each person doing to the message that they need to receive in order to move forward with you. So yeah, like, it's kind of like if you work at a restaurant and you just keep going up to somebody and asking them, like, you want some food, you want more food, you want more food. Yeah, for a certain amount of time, they might be like, yeah, like, tell you your order, but eventually they're gonna want to check out. Eventually they might want drinks or a dessert, or maybe most people, I want my drinks first. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they need other things. You can't just keep going saying one thing over and over to people and then expecting them, like, it's not a conversation. It's just weird, right? But that's what a lot of people do with marketing. They keep putting out one message over and over and over and expecting that to get a result. Anyway, and so with this, a broad overview of this could be, so it's a flow, it's a user journey that you map. So there's a flow chart involved, right? But it can be adjusted to what it needs to be for you. And it can get complicated. It can be as simple or as complicated as you need it to be. But what I recommend doing, though, is, because it doesn't need to be much more complicated than this, about 3 steps is best, in my opinion, to map out at a time. Find something that works for you, and then apply that funnel across different offers when you figure out what works for one offer, is how I like to do it. But you do what works for you. But so we take people's user behavior with the flowchart, and I'll give you examples in a second through the marketing side and through the sales side. So the general marketing to sales funnel is, we take their user behavior, then it goes to an automation triggered or a manual action that we tag and do. And then whatever user behavior results from that can trigger other automations, or we tag so we can do other physical manual actions. And then that can trigger other user behavior, and the cycle continues as we build a relationship and we determine what is the correct message to send to each person. So an example for the marketing side, I probably should have labeled this better, but life is hard. For the marketing side of this, say, or actually no, I lied. This is I did the call side first. Okay, whatever. For the lead generation side, when we're dealing with calls, right? Say a user fills out a form. A sales team would call them after that. If the lead does not answer, you could leave a voicemail and put in a sequence for automated emails. And when I do sequences for automated emails, after people initially fill out a form, in that first week or two, I may contact them a few times, to check in to see if they have that interest and to act on that interest while it's hot in that initial engagement period. And then it's after that initial engagement period, like, I've determined whether or not there's an immediate need for me or not, then I just try and stay in touch at least weekly and put them in different flows for weekly and quarterly and stuff. But yeah, so basically, if a user fills out the form, the sales team will call them. The lead doesn't answer, we put in that voicemail auto sequence for auto emails. Say that the user replied to an email, then we email or we call the lead to try and get booked. And if they don't reply, we'll get to that later. But yeah, so say that the sales team calls, the lead answers, then we try and get them scheduled for a meeting. The user books, then we can set up appointment reminders. If the user wants more information first, we're going to provide that information while reinforcing a reason to try and get booked. And we're going to try and do that. And if the user is not interested, then we'll try and ask permission to stay in touch and respect boundaries. Because sometimes with ads, if, for example, you are just running an ad for the very first time, there may be some sort of targeting issue, or there may be something wrong on the ad setup, or you may get some leads who are not correct. Or sometimes, even if you have the best ad in the world, you're always going to have a small certain number of people who didn't mean to actually click on it, particularly with how devices these days can autofill for a lot of things. You may have people who didn't remember or didn't mean to do that, depending on what type of ad you're doing, how you set it up, etc. So those are all things as well. So sometimes users, when they're not interested, they're just like, yeah, I'm not interested, but they don't necessarily tell you that they don't want you to continue reaching out to them. They're just letting you know that they're not currently able to buy from you. So if that's the case, then I may keep emailing them, or maybe call them a few times a year to check in. But if depending on the situation, if calls are relevant. But if it's a situation where they don't need that, like, or if they ask, do not contact again, then I do not contact again. And I personally, so different places I work for have different preferences with this. For myself, for my own ads, if they don't want me to contact them again, I don't run ads to them again, because why the fuck would I waste my money on someone that's already told me they don't want to hear from me? But I've read for people, they're like, I want to convert them anyway. Well, I won't keep them on the contact list if, you know, they ask, of course, because that's illegal. But, and also it's just not the right thing to do. But I will put them on the retargeting list so they get the ads ran to them again, if that makes sense, because you can do custom audiences with ads. But that's only if, like, I have to, like, for the client, for what they want to do for their purposes. And, you know, sometimes I feel like that's can be not necessarily as bad of a thing to do than others, depending on the situation. But I'm going to go on that a different time. But anyway, so if the sales team calls and the number is invalid, then we just sequence them for those auto emails, and we circle back to that. All right, now to the emails, to the email flow. With the email side, if there are sequence for the automated emails, for example, then I prefer to initially start with the emails being like once a week. You know what I mean? When we're talking about our general flow. If the user opens the email but doesn't answer, then we could send a follow-up email addressing the obstacles or overturns to those objections. Oh yeah, the way the text didn't come out right on this. Life is hard. I didn't notice till now. Anyway, if a user books an appointment online, then we can remove them from the marketing sequence, because why would we keep trying to send them emails based on asking them to book with us if they've already booked with us, right? So in that situation, we would remove them from that sequence, and we could put them into a different sequence for customers if we had one, for example, because like these are just examples that I'm showing you. It's all relevant to each business. It's not specific like this. Each business I build out a different campaign for that is relevant to their needs, because every business has its own needs. And that's another reason why, like, when people try to do like this thing where they're like, I have one template and this one template is for every business. 9 out of 10 times, you know that's not going to work, because every business has its own needs. Now, a template might be used, could be adjusted for any business, but one thing isn't going to work for everybody, in my opinion. It's not one size fits all. Anyway, but if they opened and they answered, so we had discussed if they open but don't answer. If they open and they do answer an email, well, the faster a response time you have on your side, the higher the chance of the conversion with them. So you want to respond as quickly as possible. If the user books an appointment online with you from that, then you can remove them from your sequence to try and get them to book. If they need more time, then you can email or text quarterly and call once or twice a year. Is what I recommend to start, like, you know, just kind of thinking. If they're no longer interested, typo, yeah, I did this real quick. Then they email quarterly if given permission, or we will remove them from the marketing if permission withdrawn. Now, the user doesn't open the email, then you could test a different subject line to see if that gives you a different open rate down the road too. You could also use user data to improve your future marketing. I just like clicked something. Oops. And then you adjust or you continue with your messages based on performance. And then quarterly, I redo the flows entirely, so that way nobody's ever getting, between the spacing that I put into the timeline of the emails and the quarterly updates, no one should be getting the same message twice, ever. Except unless I'm A/B testing something like the subject line, for example, and I'm doing it on purpose. You know what I mean? But yeah, in relationships between business and guests, calls are recommended. If you are selling a product or your business model isn't based on, I have based on twice in here, life is hard, isn't based on a personal relationship, then you can just email or text if that's best. For example, most e-commerce buyers are going to be annoyed if you call them randomly, unless you are selling like luxury gowns and you need to call to get measurements, for example, and that's an e-commerce transaction, just so happened. For example, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like this is going to be adaptable to what it needs to be for you. This is just to get you thinking about what flows could be good for you. And so yeah, related to this, we have standard automations, including text or email, that are used in conjunction with weekly outreach. And it includes, but it's not limited to, you could have a point. So I'm talking about on top of where I was saying before, we have our weekly and our quarterly outreach. This is on top of that. So you could do appointment or purchase confirmations, receipts or invoices automated, auto response on contact list sign up or site membership sign up, promotions when new inventory or services are added to your site, loyalty point reward system updates, event RSVP confirmations and information, for example, right? And then when it comes to tools, so I'm not worried about necessarily the names, as the companies tend to change or go out of business a lot in this industry, or get boycotted. But you can use the platforms that are best for you. But so customer relationship management systems, and also some of these platforms have a combination of these types of services as well. So a CRM or CRMS, you see it both ways, is a system used to log data, maintain a record of every contact touch point you've had with customers for those relationships, track tickets, automate emails if needed sometimes. Each one can do different things. Some of them can email and text for you and all of that. And like some CRMS, you don't need an email service provider because it does it for you. Versus sometimes people will use one database for tracking sales, and then they'll do their email marketing in a whole different database, for example, right? So sometimes people will have a CRM and an email service provider. They'll have it separate. You can do whatever the fuck works for you, all right? Email service providers, those could be something where you can automate emails and buyer flows, or you can use it and manually do the emails, whichever is best for you. Social media management tools can be used to automate and schedule posts in advance, not only from single platforms but from multiple platforms as well. Web development services can be used, and a lot of web development services have the CRM and the email service provider and social media tools in it and shit too. And then webhooks and integration services. There's a lot of services made that their only job is to connect shit together, so you don't have to. So say, for example, you decide you're going to switch from one CRM to another, and you have 100,000 fucking contacts. Do you really want to go do the data entry and all that contacts? Do you know how long it's going to take for you to download and export the spreadsheets and upload that shit back in, and then data match it to get that shit right? Sometimes that is your only choice because the platform won't work with the integration or something like that, depending on how you're moving it. But in a lot of cases, you don't have to do all that shit now. You can use webhooks and integration services to automate those types of switchovers for you. Shit like that, or whatever the fuck you need it to be, like. So yeah, now moving on, I want to adjust the calls, and all the information that we put into the calls can also be put into the email marketing as well. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of focus more on the customer service sales for this portion of this conversation. And I feel like I've kind of hit on a lot of things that can be used in email marketing or the conversational marketing in my 60-hour challenge, marketing challenge ebook reading thing. So anyway, so what type of customer service voice should you try, right? So for me, people tell me I sound like a little girl, and I don't even think that I do anything to sound younger. I don't think I do anything to look or sound or act younger than I am. But a lot of people tell me that I fucking sound like a fucking kid, or that I look like a kid, dude. And I don't know. Sometimes people are just saying it as an insult. Like, they're just saying it to infantilize me or to be dicks to me and to treat me, like, try to make me feel less than, And I don't understand why they do that. Like, to me, it speaks to how they view children. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a child. Children are our future. Anyway, fucking, and fucking, so sorry. I use those words as filler words. I gotta work on that shit. Life is hard. I keep saying that a lot too, but life is hard. But anyway, fucking, there I go. There she goes. There she goes again. Fucking, yeah, so my customer service voice, I try not to sound like such a little bitch. I try not to sound like a little girl. And I try to make my voice a little bit lower while still maintaining upbeat enthusiasm, right? And that's hard to do because one of my bosses before had told me, she was like, you gotta sound lower because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's your tone, is what she was telling me. And so I was like, okay. But then so I was practicing that, but then I felt like I sounded like Eeyore. So you have to like go, but then because no one wants to hear from you, because by go low, she doesn't mean like sound like this, you know, because no one wants to hear you if you sound depressed or monotone. So I had to go low, but still maintain that upbeat enthusiasm. So my customer service voice ended up kind of being like, hi, my name's Lexi with Deaf Child. How can I help you today? I don't know, like, I just try to picture, imagine like that, what is that fucking TikTok trend right now? Where it's like, and right now you can buy 2 for 1, something like that, Jet 2 holiday. I don't remember the fucking what words are, whatever. But you just have to, I just kind of like think of like an ad on TV and see it and imitate it with my voice a little bit. Kind of shitty. But anyway, so if I had some call scripts or talking points for how I introduce myself on calls, you know, because a lot of people, like when it comes to training salespeople in these calls, they don't know what the fuck to say, like when you pick up the phone. And not that there's anything wrong with that, because there was a time I didn't know what the fuck I was going to say when I was picking up those damn phones. I was like, But yeah, so in case that's you, you could say, good morning, good afternoon, hi, Mr. or Mrs. And here's another thing, in some situations, saying Mr. or Mrs. is bad, right? Because you don't want to assume someone's gender and all of that. But then in other cases, particularly if you work in the deep south, a lot of people, they'll be like if you sell a certain price point and you're dealing with people who are expecting to spend a certain amount of money with you, they expect to be treated a certain way. And so if you're just kind of like, what's up, bud, to somebody you are begging for $50,000 from, they're gonna be like, unless you already have that relationship with them, right? But when you are just trying to establish that, when you call them, if you address them as hi, Mr. Thomas, or hello, Mrs. Loretta. And even if it's like a school teacher, like a lot of the people that I'll be selling to in the past, they're truck drivers, school teachers, like working class fucking people that are trying to put their money somewhere where it's going to be a nest egg for their future. You know what I'm saying? Like, so with a lot of these people, they're addressing you as Mr. and Mrs. They're addressing you with formalities. And so if you don't come to them with that, they're going to see it as disrespectful. But in other situations, if you call the wrong person Mr. or Mrs. and you misgender them, then you're disrespectful. Like, so you got to kind of feel it out, know your audience, and the more research, the higher price point you have, the more research you should be doing if you can into who your buyer is going to be. But yeah, so anyway, an example could be, good morning, Mr. So-and-so. This is Lexi with business, whatever the fuck my business that I'm repping is, you know, because I'll be calling people. And I'm trying not to accidentally slip up and say a name for a business that I've previously done business with. And then I would often say something like, I'm just calling, you know, sometimes it doesn't get this far because they'll be talking to me, but sometimes they're not saying shit. They're like waiting to see what the fuck I'm calling for. And so I'll be like, I was calling about your request for information about doing marketing with Deaf Child, you know, or like whatever the fuck you ran the ad for, you know. And that's another thing. You should know what landing page they came in from, for example. And if your marketing team isn't giving that to your sales team, I think that's a problem. That's just me. Anyway, and then say you have like your first attempt with that outreach, right? So like what I had been saying was like after you clarify who you are and who you're calling with, you're gonna say what you're calling for. So typically in a lot of situations, I'm trying to get someone scheduled for an appointment. So after I say I'm responding to their request for information about the offer, I'll be like, would you like to schedule an appointment? And for me, I do have paid appointments. I don't do free appointments for myself, but I have clients who do free appointments, you know, so in some situations I'll be getting them in a free appointment. That's way easier to do. But with me, the next step, if they do say yes, I just start filling out the fucking form on my site and I take their fucking payment information and shit, you know. Sometimes they don't want to go that far, but I just get as much data as I can and I ask permission to continue reaching out to them and follow up, and a lot of times I'll get that permission. And so even if they didn't buy in that moment, they'll continue that conversation with me and might buy later. When it comes to cost inquiry, you know, what for me, I sell marketing, and that can really range based on what the fuck you need to do and what your budget is. So I'll be like, we have a range of investment opportunities starting about, you know, so say they're asking me about PR. I would say we have a range starting about $1,000. $1,000 won't get you much though. If you want more, that's going to be closer to 50, depending on what the fuck they want. And then we discuss that conversation and I explain to them what goes into it from there, right? So, and what I mean by that, you can spend real cheap a few $100s on some random press syndication network and you can get your information distributed short term real cheap, or you can pay big money and have a specific large organization release your information, and that's going to go long term. It can vary. Like, do you want to be promoted by something that is very relevant to your network, or do you want to just be on Fox News, or do you want to have like your own spread on Rolling Stone? It's up to you in the actual magazine. And that's another thing. Physical placement is going to be more expensive than digital. I don't know why I'm going in there, but that's like a thing, right? So I'll tell people like we have a range of opportunities. If it's an investment, I'll say investment opportunities, but some people like that wording because I'm letting them know that they're investing in themselves and it is an investment and it's an opportunity. Some people though, they'll take that as scammy because they're like, just be specific. Like, tell me the fucking price point, bitch. You know what I mean? So you have to also fill out your audience with that one. But I'll basically be like, if you would like more information, please schedule an appointment. Or I can have somebody call. And yeah. If we've already met before or talked before, what I say is, I'm just following up to see if you would like to move forward or if you need more information. If I'm reaching out to a lead that I haven't contacted in a very long time, whenever I'm giving them that initial call script, I'll just basically use my initial call script but add prior to it. So I'll be like, hi, this is Lexi with Deaf Child, following up about your prior request for information about doing marketing. Something like that. You know what I mean? And I'll be fucking doing that shit to people I haven't talked to in years. I'll be like, what's up, bitch? I'm just kidding. I don't say that, but I'm thinking it. Anyway. And if I'm leaving a voicemail, for most reasons, I'll typically say the general greeting and that I'm responding to a request for follow-up, and then if they would like to schedule an appointment, please give me a call back. And then I insert the relevant phone number if I'm leaving a voicemail. You know, I keep it short. I can usually bang that out in like 30 seconds, depending on what reason I was calling them for. But yeah, so talking points for when people don't know who I am or because they don't remember filling out the form, because like I had mentioned before, sometimes that does happen. I always apologize. I never want to basically be like, you're the one who wanted to talk to me, you filled out the form, bitch. I don't say it like that because they're gonna be like, and now I wish I didn't, fuck you. But I apologize. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry about that. That sounds shitty. But I don't say that. But you know, be thinking it. But with that mindset, right? And I'll be like, well, I must have gotten your information. Where if maybe you were doom scrolling on Facebook, you know, in the autofilled. I'm so sorry about that. And then I will remind them what I do, how I can help them based on how they came in. Because if I'm calling them, I usually go through their profile. I check how they came in as a lead. And so I should know some understanding of who they are and look at my previous communication with them. I ask them permission to send them more information and follow up. And then I'll try to sequence them back to those prior email flows we looked at, you know, and try and get them booked after. So yeah. So now we're going to look at the very first, this is the very first Hotel California flow I ever designed. And it was from 2020 for a law office. And so first, my system for them was we had a landing page lead come in. They would immediately be getting an email thank you and confirmation. And then within 1 hour, they'll get general intake information. And this is me on the marketing team. On the sales side, we also had these leads getting phone calls. And if the lead responded and booked via call, they would be removed from this system as well. But yeah, so they immediately would be getting that thank you email, and then I give them that general intake. And then I continue marketing as I do because I have my weekly flows, right? But if they open any of the last 5 campaigns, if they're like engaging in my emails, they're obviously considering us at that point. And so I would tag them as hot. And then in the next day, I would give them an email related to I call this deal here, but I would never say that word to them, but basically discussing what are our offers, you know what I'm saying? So email about trying to close a deal, but let them know our offers. And if they continue opening that, then they get tagged as prospective because I emailed them and they have these flows. Then I get emailed them trying to get them booked for a free consultation. And so this would be considering their email journey flow with us from the very first moment that they filled out a form to a month later. That's where you have to keep in mind. So that first month that they filled out a form, and they're getting responded to that day immediately. And then within that week, within the next few weeks, they're getting email campaigns as we've discussed, right? And then, after a month, you know, we're seeing if they've clicked any of our campaigns. Are they engaging with us? I also have an additional tag in there to check if booked. So that way, if I missed anybody, if anybody fell through the cracks, there's a default tag in there for me to double check, make sure. You know what I'm saying? And if they get booked, we move them to a client group where they get put into an entirely different flow. If not booked, then we maintain them. Then we keep sending them emails related to reminding them that they filled out a form about us. So if they ever need anything from us, you know, that's how we got connected. You know, I always try reminding them of how they met us virtually, whether it's filling out a form, etc., so they know who I am, how they got here, and you keep kind of repeating that. And if they continue to open those campaigns, they get put back up into a hot. And so these emails are sent out over time, and it's updated quarterly, and these flows are monthly, and there's tags to check if they book. And so between all of that, they get taken out if it's not relevant to them anymore, but all of the automation is pre-approved. And so everybody has the right message to the right person. And if they get tagged as cold, I don't know if I went over that because they were not opening the last campaigns, then what we do is end up giving them reasons to convert, reasons to do business with us, reasons to follow up. So that's what I was doing back in 2020 for an attorney, using this as a different example, right? And then I was mentioning this back in my presentation. I'm going to show you the whole presentation. I used to send this out back in like 2021. But I was discussing how the email marketing automations based on customer journeys and actions, it's also known as the Hotel California, because you can check out, but you can never leave. And so this is what I would be sending as like my portfolio presentation. Maybe I should do another one or keep using this. I don't know. But yeah, so for key performance indicators related to return on ad spend, conversion rate optimization, and search engine optimization, this includes time, money, people, results, right? For return on ad spend, your pricing and your ads are based on, for me, based on 4x plus x equals price. For x being the cost spent per ad to achieve a 4-to-1 return on ad spend baseline. This formula is how I determine what price am I going to bid for when it comes to ads, so that I can make sure you're getting a 4-to-1 return on ad spend based on the price of your offer. And if you need more information about that, I've done previous videos about it. I think I'll double check that the ones that I linked. No, the 60-hour marketing challenge, I'm very certain has more information about this in it. So for search engine optimization, the proof is in the pudding. So I had done write-ups for Coffee House, for example, and I had done this JavaScript object notation linked data and a bunch of search engine optimization on the website and landing pages for a law office, for example. And then with conversion rate optimization. So the sales funnel and landing page development, including lead magnets such as ebooks, those are things that I do, right? And that's all about measuring and tracking where people are with you. And what I didn't put in here is your money equals your visitors times your conversion rate times your average order value. So, how many visitors are you getting in? Are you converting them? How much are they spending with you? This formula you can use to fix your ads. If you're not getting visitors to your landing page, then something's fucked up with your ad. Either something's wrong with the ad setup itself in the platform, or something's wrong with the message and the creative. And you can check for the errors on the platform system. And then you can look at the creative and you can analyze that and see. And so that will tell you, right? You have to make sure that aligns. If you're getting visitors and traffic to your landing page, so people are clicking on your ad, but they're not buying at the landing page, or they're looking at the ad, but they're not clicking on it, that's when you can tell that there's something wrong with the copy, but the ad is running, right? But then if they're clicking on the ad and going to the landing page, but they're not filling out the form, something's wrong with the landing page. If they're filling out the form, but they're not buying, something's wrong with that sales system. You know what I'm saying? Like, at every level, you can track what's happening. And then if they are buying, they are visiting the landing page, the ad is working, but you're still not profitable, something could be set up with the pricing of your offer in relation to the cost of the ad. And so you can fix that with the average order value aspect. There's always a fix. But yeah, so analytics are tracked at every step to monitor the efficiency and utility of work and to fix it as we go. For lead magnets, you can write your own ebooks. I like to do that for business to business. And then lead magnets, they increase contact list signups plus purchases by focusing on niche. I don't know how the fuck to say that right. I don't think I said that right. By focusing on keywords for high intent and call to actions and brand elements. For your marketing and sales timeline, for me, I've been doing customer service and sales since 2009. I started street teams in 2011 and online promo since 2011. I've been running shows since 2013, and I began doing web development in 2016. So my work history, my mission, has been to make music, bring people together, support communities, and so that's why my mantra here is music, marketing, communication. So yeah, I was born December 29th. I'm hard of hearing. I've got my Bachelor of Science in Music Industry Studies and Business Administration, and I like to study how people find, interpret, then act on different forms of communication, or semiotics. So for skills and tools, I had mentioned those before, and I said I wasn't going to go too much into it, and I've actually kind of gotten into even more skills and tools now. Those are on my website. So, but wait, there's more. So there's always going to be tools related to audiovisual, due diligence, project management, streamlining, web development. And so you've got CRMs, ESPs, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Fucking, but yeah, so there's digital targeting that you have to consider with running the ads. And then there's also the other side of it. What is the person going through physically, and what physical takeaways can they get from interacting with you? Like for example, I've got my merch as well. You can shop. So you could give away merch, right? And with my loyalty program, you get discounts. So yeah, so connecting sales and music and marketing, like having all of these different experiences, from fundraising to getting sales done for businesses to being able to be a part of the making of what happened to create the sale, all of it, I think that has put me to be where I am now, to understand these different aspects of growth and full funnel growth, connecting awareness to sales. And so yeah, for me, it's just all about trying to connect the marketing to results. And previously, I didn't understand that, because when I was having issues with connecting the marketing to sales funnel, because I didn't know how. It's not like I was technically doing all of the things to build out a sales funnel, except for understanding how to send the right message to the right person at the right time. And the way you do that is through the Hotel California type systems. Whatever, I call my system Hotel California, but you can do it in your own way in whatever system works for you. Connecting the analog to the automation together. It works together, not separate. So yeah. So what does it take for your marketing and sales goals to meet? Up to 8 interactions before purchase typically. 1/10 of people follow through on call to actions. So keep that in mind. A lot of people don't understand the scale it takes and the budget it goes into running ads and the numbers needed. A lot of people give up too soon. 100 people aren't seeing their ads, but so they don't know if their ad works or not, but they're giving up thinking no one wants to buy from them, but maybe 10 people know who they are. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, it takes so much work to get seen that a lot of people give up before they're going to get to where they are sustainable, because they didn't have the resources to make it. And it's not that they're not good enough. It's not that they don't have the ambition. It's because of capitalism, this fucked up society. We're not given the resources we needed to succeed. Anyway, but so I aim for 4-to-1 average ad, $4 for every $1, I think is sustainable for me to hit. It's what I know how to do. A lot of people will promise you a lot more, but I think what's realistic is for most people to expect 2-to-1. If you plan for and expect 2-to-1, then when you get that 4-to-1, you'll be way better off. But when you get started, it does kind of go more there. But anyway. And it can take up to 3 to 6 months to rank organically. You can start ranking immediately if you pay for it with pay-per-click advertising, but if you're not paying for that pay-per-click advertising, you don't got that placement anymore. You will get some SEO boost benefits, because if you run an ad and people click on it and people stay on your site long enough, that does signal to the search engines that your message was relevant to that keyword, and long term that can help you overall in terms of like showing the bounce rate and all of that. But immediately, if you don't buy it, it takes 3 to 6 months to rank organically for keywords, and that can also depend on how much competition there is for the keyword and a bunch of factors. But yeah, And what I like to tell people, I hit this home all the time when it comes to brand loyalty. When it comes to it's called the mere endowment exposure theory. It's the idea that the more time people spend with you, both in length and in amount, like the numbers, so like hours as well as like 10 times, for example, um, then the more that they'll remember you. And the more someone remembers you, the more that they're going to recall and recognize you. If somebody recalls you, that means that they can think of you without a prompt. If they can think of you without a prompt, your first choice or last. If you go get razors, you know what fucking razor you want. If you are a woman, you know what period products you want. If people recognize you, you're a backup plan. That means people can think of you, but they have to be prompted to do so. You know what I'm saying? You know what toothpaste you want, but you know what toothpaste you might get if that's not there. You know what I mean? So yeah. I do have on my website other additional publications about me if you want to go check that out. Interviews and publications that I'm involved in, as well as the list that I made being ranked related to being a marketing agency as doing business as Deaf Child. And I tell people all the time, and my mom will tell you too, so my dad has 4 kids, but my mom has 3. So some people get confused when I talk about my mom saying she has 3 kids, and they're like, but aren't you one of 4? My dad has 4 kids, my mom's got 3. So, so when they asked her about noticing I couldn't hear her, she was like, I got 3 kids, none of them listen to me. You know what I mean? And I fell through the crack there. And so that's why I do what I do, to be heard, to be seen, because I matter, right? And so does each person. And so I think it's really funny that that is what I had been missing for so long from my understanding of how to do business, is acknowledging each individual person in their own journey. We are more than just numbers and statistics. We are human. So yeah. And I have my work and my samples and all of that on my website too if you want to talk. And you can contact me on my website. My phone number is 504-256-4454. And if you call me in the middle of the fucking night, I'm gonna block your ass. Unless I know you. Yeah. Fucking. And you can email me at deafchildpresents@gmail.com anytime. But yeah, let me know if you would like to take the next step with setting up a little Hotel California for your stuff, because you know, you and me together, we can be living it up in the Hotel Cal. Okay, I guess that. But anyway, I appreciate you. If this was helpful at all, let me know, because it would be awesome to metaphorically suck my dick, right? I'm just kidding. I probably shouldn't have said that. But you know, it would make me feel real good about myself. So fucking, if this was helpful for you, holler. But yes, so I'm gonna add some timestamps to all of this shit. If you have any questions, let me know. I don't really do free consultations, but the free work I'll do for you is, if you ask me something, I'll use it in content and make a video reply. You know what I mean? And I won't use your comment if you don't want me to, but yeah. Fucking, yeah. Or I'll just do a manual response to you, like a quick little text. But yeah, you can pay me for consultations if you need me, or you can pay me to do the work for you. You can book online, or you can contact me if you want to know how to book, or if you have a different budget than what my rates are. I do not negotiate on the price of my work, but I will negotiate on the scope of my work. So I'll let you know what I can do for you with your budget. But also something that I used to do, because people were asking me to do it and I wanted to help, would be doing social media for a lot of people. And sometimes I'll still do that, and I do still have clients I do social media for. But overall, most of you guys don't ask me to do your social media. You don't need me to. It's not going to help you. You can pay me to do your social media if you want me to. I will fucking do it if it takes workload off your back and that's what you feel the value is in paying me. But like I said in the description of this video, if you're not already making sales doing marketing, hiring a marketer will not help you get more sales, because you're just going to be paying somebody to continue doing what you're currently doing, unless you're going to allow that marketer to set up their systems. A lot of people, they want to hire me for social media only, but they won't allow me to have the input for the rest of the Hotel California. And so then I'm just continuing to do their social media posts for them, but they don't have a way to scale. And it's a waste of energy and time for them, because by paying me, they're losing money when they could make a free post themselves. You know what I mean? So don't let that be you when it comes to hiring marketing agencies. Wait until you have the right budget to pay for a marketing agency. And if you need help getting to that point, then let me know. And I may not be able to do the work for you for free or give you a free formal consultation, but I will do something for you if I can. And you know what I mean? Like, I will leave you a comment. I'll take that information and I'll make content with it so I can still capitalize off of it and get paid, to be honest. Shit. But anyway, I'm spiraling. I feel like if I keep talking, this won't be helpful anymore. So I'm going to leave while I can and do follow-up video if I feel like more needs to be added later, if that makes sense. Because I feel like I covered things that were on my head for now. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope everything works out for everybody. And life's a bitch and then we die. That's why we get high. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeathchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.